Hi guys, it's Carisa. You like my sweater? This was a thrift store find. It was brand new with the tag still on it. I am finally going to answer the most popular question I get when I finally break down and explain what it is I've been doing to lose weight. And that is, what do you eat? I will direct you, if you haven't seen it already, to my last video where I talked about doing this diet. It's a ketogenic diet, or it's called keto for short. Low carb, high fat, low carb. People call it all different things. I had reservations about sharing the details of it, and there are reasons why I chose this particular diet for myself. So I will link that video below if you haven't seen it or if you just need a refresher. Another thing I want to say, because for some reason I think people don't like it when you use the word diet. If you were vegetarian, you would tell people you follow a vegetarian diet. It's just the things that you eat. This is a lifestyle change. But I'm not going to say, hey guys, I'm going to tell you what I eat in my lifestyle change. That's just ridiculous. So just in case it bothers you that I say the word diet, just so you know, I do consider this to be something I can completely do long term. And another disclaimer I will put in with that is that, yes, I will allow myself things that I technically, quote unquote, shouldn't have every now and then. Most of the time I feel awful afterwards and it's not worth it. I started to do a day in the life food vlog where I was just telling you what I was eating through the course of the day. But I was really struggling with that because I feel like any one day out of my week or out of my month is not a representation of what I typically eat. I listen to my body. If I'm hungry, I eat. If I'm not, I try and at the very least still drink water. You will always see me with a big bottle of water next to me somewhere. Don't feel like you have to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can graze all day long. Sometimes that's what I do. I just have a little something and I'm completely satisfied by the fat content in it and don't feel ravenous. And then I'm like, well, I guess I'm hungry again a few hours later. Now, granted, I work at home, so that makes things a lot easier, and I understand that that can be a problem for some people, but just kind of think about how you could work some of this into your schedule, or, you know, where you would want the bulk of fat in your day so that it can help sustain you for the hours where you're not able to eat something. Don't feel like you can't have breakfast food for dinner or for all 3 meals of the day. Some people have eggs every meal. Some people have some kind of meat every meal. It's just what works for you. You have to figure out what your macros are, which is the division of and percentage of fat, protein, and carbohydrates that you'll intake during the day. And this is not a high protein diet by any means. It does have a nice component of protein, but we're really talking about high fat. And so not necessarily fat and as a protein together. So just keep that in mind. Yes, you can do this diet as a vegetarian, and people do it vegan as well. For the first 2 weeks of this diet, I would not recommend calorie counting. I think that there's plenty of time to get into that. And I currently do not count calories. I kind of keep an eye on what I'm having, but some days I'll have like 600 calories more than I did the day before, and that's just because that's based on what I felt hungry for or what I wanted. And just so that it doesn't get completely out of control, I do measure most things that I eat. There are people who eat steak every day. They eat bacon every day. I don't have those things more than like twice a month, if at all. So you'll see that in some of what I show you, but it's just about what you want. It can be very expensive, you know, depending on the kinds of things you choose to eat, but it also doesn't have to be at all. Figure out salads and freeze ahead, make ahead meals, and they can break it down to a very low price point per serving. There's just so much out there for resources. And please remember, I researched this on and off for almost a year, almost an exact calendar year. I spent worried about whether or not I could handle this. And I used to be a binge eater, a stress eater, an emotional eater, just a plain old overeater. And I feel like I have cured a lot of those issues just following this diet because it just seems to work for me. I'm so happy right now, and if I can help anyone in any way at all, I want to do that. So I'm going to show you some of the things that I do tend to eat. If you want something that's more like real-time, everyday food, my sister has an incredible Instagram account that I would love for you to take a look at and help support her, and she'll show you the things that she eats for meals and snacks and the things that she's doing, as well as progress pictures. So I will put that Instagram name below for you. So this is how I start my day. Every morning I drink a liter of water, and I like to get it down to about that much, and then I add this. This is to make sure that I get proper electrolyte intake, mainly potassium, because it has a nice high dose of potassium. You're supposed to aim for between 3,000 and 5,000 milligrams a day, I believe. You're supposed to mix it in a full liter of water, but I prefer to drink it plain first and then add the mix. That way it's all together in my belly. I just like the way it tastes better that way, and I drink it faster. Then I take these supplements. This is a prenatal multivitamin and CoQ10. I take those in hopes of improving egg quality and improving my chances of conceiving in the future. I also take a fish oil capsule. This is vitamin D. Whoops. This white one here is vitamin C. These 3 pills here are psyllium husk fiber. Low carb diets you don't tend to get as much fiber, although I feel I get a fair amount, but I do take that. And this is a gelatin capsule. Gelatin helps prevent a lot of excess skin. I mean, as much as it can. It's mostly based on your genetics, but I can't really bear to eat it, especially in the quantity that I would need to for that to be beneficial, so I just take it in pill form. My coffee situation can get kind of weird and crazy and never be the same. Today I made this Donut Shop Nutty Caramel coffee, and the only other one that I typically would have is the Donut House Light Roast coffee. So I make that in the Keurig. P.S. This is my favorite coffee mug. It's from Starbucks from a really long time ago. I found it on a clearance rack all by itself. I wish I could find another one. I have stalked the internet. They don't exist. So, what I will typically do is just have heavy cream in that flavored coffee. I love that combination. That's all I need. It has pretty good stats. I think that regionally we have better stats for our heavy cream. But if you do research on keto and on people who do the diet, people tend to have heavy whipping cream instead. It's usually a little more expensive, but ours has sugar and carbs in it where we live by the brand we get it from. So I do this instead. I usually will do a 1/4 cup of cream per cup of coffee. I will also add this. This is Morton light salt. I use the teeniest little bit of this. That is because this is another good source of potassium. I know that potassium and magnesium, you do have to supplement, because if you're drinking as much water as you should be, you will dilute that in your system and you can make yourself feel and get really sick. Just like that. Just add a little bit to my coffee. You don't even taste it. If anything, it just enhances the flavor. I do sometimes add whipped cream. Bulletproof coffee is normally coffee made with heavy cream or heavy whipping cream, grass-fed unsalted butter. This is medium chain triglyceride oil. Basically, you can have up to 3 tablespoons of this a day. If you're using just coconut oil, you can totally do that. But that stuff is a little more intense. I will only have it 1 teaspoon at a time. It really doesn't taste like anything, but if you have more than what you can handle at a time, it just kind of gives you like a nervous, queasy feeling in your stomach. Not really nauseous, but I don't know. It's different for everybody. I just drink it like this. Some people prefer to blend it with like an immersion blender. Ain't nobody got time for that over here. My sister had this brilliant idea to make bulletproof coffee faster and easier. What we did was we took coconut oil and butter, our unsalted grass-fed butter, and what these are is I put them in a candy mold, silicone candy mold, and it is 1 tablespoon of each in the candy mold. And then you just add that to your coffee, and the heat from the coffee will melt it, and then you can add as much creamer as you want to, if you want creamer at all. Some Greek yogurt and blueberries. Some other things I like to have are Quest bars, but these are my 2 favorite flavors, the cookies and cream and the chocolate chip cookie dough. But they have 22 grams of carbs, but 17 grams of fiber. And sugar alcohols also affect net carbs, but they can cause digestive problems. I was never a tuna eater as a kid, growing up, like ever, basically. But sometimes I do kind of have a taste for it. So I'll get the chunk light tuna in sunflower oil. This one might be a little more expensive than other kinds, but this is the only kind I feel like I like. I don't know. I'm really a picky eater, and I really don't like to eat meat very often. It has no carbs and no sugar. What I like to do is add a little bit of mayonnaise and some crushed up walnuts. Speaking of nuts, I will also tend to have like a 1/4 cup or less of mixed nuts a day. Some nuts are higher in carbs than others, like cashews, but overall, as far as the mix is concerned, it has 4 net carbs per 1 ounce or a 1/4 cup. I kind of overdid it on these when I first started, so I'm not as interested, but I'll sprinkle 1 or 2 in with something if I'm eating it. Are these Blue Diamond Bold Barbecue, Habanero Barbecue almonds. They do have 2 grams of sugar in them, but they're only 2 grams of net carbs per 28 nuts. I loved these so much when I first started that I was eating them till my lips were chapped and raw. I almost ordered a case of them on Amazon. I'm not a sunflower seed fan at all. I don't like spitting out the kernels or whatever, but I love this flavor, the bacon salt ones. And if you put 3/4 of a cup of these, which is a lot, it's a lot of them, okay? If you put 3/4 of a cup of these in a measuring cup and sit and eat them all, it'll take forever, first of all, but also there are only 3 net grams of carbs in that. Your suggestions I have are these bread substitutes here. I don't have this every day. I would consider this to be something that you would have as a treat. I think you could definitely overdo it, and to be honest, it's a little pricey, but I think it's completely worth it. This is by the Great Low Carb Bread Company. You do have to order these online. You can order from their website, from Amazon. I like to get them from Nutrition because it's $4.95 shipping, and it ships the very next day. You get it like the day after you've ordered it. Not overnight, but the day after the day after. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, this is the plain bread. This is my favorite. It's these little slices. It's similar to gluten-free bread. You keep it in the freezer and just pull it out as you need it. I like to toast this and put butter and a little bit of peanut butter on it. But as you can see here, it has 8 grams of carbs and 7 grams of fiber for each slice. That's awesome. That is so awesome. And here are the ingredients here if you're curious. I love the texture. It's very similar to a gluten-free bread. It's a little bit more dense. Maybe almost like a whole wheat bread texture. You do have to be careful not to over microwave or toast it because it can get really rock hard if you do that. But it's awesome stuff. This is what Mike likes the most so far from that company are the Everything Bagels. And it's 16 grams of carbs, but 14 grams of dietary fiber. And that's for the whole bagel. Isn't that great? We aren't huge meat eaters. We have done it here and there, but honestly, we are animal lovers and we would prefer not to do it most of the time. So I'll buy things like this. This is the Gardein chicken scallopini. It's a meat-free, I think it's textured soy protein meat replacement. And this is something that we just have on occasion. We would not eat this like every week. But this is 4 grams of carbohydrates, and that makes it, with the dietary fiber, 2 grams of net carbs for 1 piece. And I would make that with some broccoli. I buy a lot of broccoli, and we would just put melted butter over this and season it and eat the chicken with it. I also have these Morningstar burgers, are 9 grams of carbs with 3 grams of dietary fiber. You can eat one of these on a Great Low Carb Bread Company bun, or you can just put like a piece of melted cheese over it, or just cut it up on a plate and dip it in your own sauce, put it on a salad. You can do so much with it. This one here is our favorite. I think my sister loves this one too. This is the tomato and basil pizza burger. This one clocks in with an awesome 3 net grams of carbs. Is another thing that I personally kind of overdid it with when I first started. It was like a staple that I had on a pretty regular basis, so now I'm not really as interested anymore. This is the shrimp scampi by C-Pack. It's already seasoned. All you have to do is put it in a pan and heat it up until the shrimp is fully cooked. And look at that, 3 grams of carbs. This is something we love to have on hand so that we can make taco meat with it. This is the corn meatless and soy-free grounds. It is made from microproteins, egg whites, and barley, I believe. And for 2/3 of a cup of this, it is 9 grams of carbs minus 5 grams of dietary fiber. This is a delicious anytime beverage. Basically, you can make your own egg cream, which I never had before doing this diet. I use this Archer Farms vanilla syrup. This is for coffee, but I do not like the way it tastes in coffee. What I do is I put this, and here's the stats on that. It's made out of basically chemicals, so it's zero everything. But I put this in a cup, a serving of that, and I put that with heavy cream, and then I fill it up the rest of the way with regular seltzer water, and it is delicious. It's like a vanilla milkshake or something. You can also just add heavy cream to diet soda or flavored seltzer water. I have orange Schweppes seltzer water here, but I also like to get Diet Dr. Pepper and put this in it, and it's so tasty. What's nice about that is the fat in heavy cream is very filling, and if you don't feel like eating anything, which happens a lot on this diet, that's a good way of getting in some fat and calories and just, you know, kind of filling yourself up and still having something in your system. Not miss pizza at all thanks to this option where I buy a lot of cheese, mozzarella cheese and pepperoni. Take a shallow Pyrex dish like this and I put in whatever serving amount of cheese I want. Usually it's like a cup, maybe a cup and a quarter. And then add pepperoni to it and put it under the broiler in the oven. Like I just use a fork and twirl it like spaghetti and dip it into buffalo wing sauce. This is our favorite buffalo sauce. This is Frank's Red Hot Wings. And here are the stats on that. Honestly, a lot of the time I do tend to have just mozzarella cheese, string cheese sticks on hand. This is the cheddar and mozzarella one. Just make sure that you have the full fat version. I also like to have olives. Like I'll maybe have 1 or 2 of them with my cheese and nuts as a snack. And the serving size is 4 olives, and that gives you 4 grams of fat. If you can get your hands on some grillable cheese, like bread cheese, this stuff specifically is my favorite. You will not regret it. This is a cheese that you can pan saute or fry. I like to cut it up into little strips, kind of like a mozzarella stick shape. I have to run to the store today because we are out of spinach and romaine. But normally I buy, I think I already mentioned, I normally buy all of my other vegetables frozen. I do want to address artificial sweeteners for a moment. I choose not to have much of them. In fact, most days I don't have artificial sweeteners. However, sometimes I just feel like a soda. And so I'll drink, like it takes me almost a month to finish a 12 pack. So just to give you an idea of how little I actually drink it. And I was buying the really tiny cans of soda also, but it's so much more cost effective to get a full can. So I'll add heavy cream to something like this or just drink it by itself. And I hope to, when I get closer to a goal weight, phase that out. I don't drink it often enough now that I feel like that'll be hard to do. But I want you to consider that there are going to be some things that you could consider like crutch foods or transitional foods that will be good for helping you get into it or just for times when you feel like you need something a little bit different. There's going to be stuff that you're going to overdo it on too, and you're going to have too much of and not want anymore, and you'll have to, your taste will change. If you do feel you need artificial sweeteners, say for your coffee or for your tea or just in your overall cooking everyday life, I don't judge. If that's something that you feel like you need, please get a high quality artificial sweetener like a natural stevia. Thank you so much for being so supportive. I've had a few of you tell me that you've already started doing this diet and you're already liking it, and it makes me so happy. I wish I could just put you all in a room and give you a big hug. I feel so good right now, and I feel so empowered. And having infertility and feeling like I couldn't control anything and everything was so negative in my life, especially relating directly to me and my body, I've been so robbed of feeling like I could do something positive for myself in my everyday life, and I have purpose now. I feel like I wake up proud to be who I am and to do the things that I'm doing and to just keep improving myself and to feel good. This is about my health. But in the meantime, I feel like I look better. I feel like I've got more energy. I feel happier. And if I could box that up and give that as a present to every one of you watching this right now, I would absolutely do it. So this is my version of that, of trying to do that for you. And I hope that it does help you in some very small way. Thank you, as always, for being so friendly and supportive and just completely loving to me. I'm a stranger and you let me into your life for however long, for however often, on a pretty regular basis, some of you, and that's just, thank you. So that is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this, and I will talk to you very soon.